Reddit by Reddit and chill. Drug dealers of Reddit. What is the strangest thing you have been offered in compensation for drugs? Someone offered me their dog for a $50 bag. They were such a shitty person and a terrible dog owner. You best believe I took that fucking dog and we had 8 glorious years together. Don't tell my current dog. That was the most caring dog I have ever met. I miss the big guy every day. That probably bragged about what a good deal he got, but let's be real, the dog was the real winner there. I bet the dog was the mastermind behind the entire exchange. I choose to believe this. My friend would sell his boss weed and then was paid through his paycheck. He thought it was a great deal until I explained that he is now paying income tax on his weed sales. I mean, you don't want to tangle with the IRS about money you got from selling drugs. They don't care how you got the money. They want their taxes. Just in case. It's probably only people selling drugs as their main income who might have an issue. Edit. I meant the S for sellers who don't sell that much. Like 10-20% drug income and the rest of their money comes from a job with a proper job W2 and stuff like that. The replies I'm getting sound like even those people should file their taxes properly though. I mean, that's kinda how they got Al Capone. If they can't get you on anything extremely illegal, just them through taxes. You can rob a Lamborghini, you can steal a motorbike, you can be a Mussolini or a Hitler if you'd like. You can knife your friends and neighbors, you can poke them till they ooze, you can stab them up with sabers or with sickles if you choose. You can buy a bunch of axes, start a riot, press destruct, but you better pay your taxes. Pay your taxes or you're fucked. I had a kid write me an essay for To Kill a Mockingbird in high school for a 1/8 of weed. Got an A. Gave him an extra bag for it. Added info 1. No, I was not the teacher. Added info 2. I didn't read it because of some issues unrelated to drug dealing going on in my life at the time. This is my favorite response. My old dealer got his leaky roof fixed by a roofing crew he sold crack to. Sadly, his roof still leaks because his roofing crew smokes crack. Everybody knows the best crews are on meth. I did construction one summer as a teenager. There was one dude in his 50s that always showed up early, worked hard, left late, and never complained. I eventually asked another guy about it. So you know how most people drink a cup of coffee to make things go smoother? He would do meth. Like, often. Former drug dealer here. I used to do it so I could afford to eat while at uni. I once had somebody offer to invite me to Christmas dinner in exchange for some weed. I said yes and I got to enjoy Christmas with him and his family stoned out of our minds. It was an awesome experience, and since I couldn't afford the trip home for Christmas, it turned what would have been a depressing day into one of my all-time favorite memories. I love this one. What a weirdly wholesome post. At one point during my time working with the state was informed that a client had offered her children to her cocaine dealer in exchange for more cocaine. Her cocaine dealer was aware she was seeing us for treatment and proceeded to call us and report the situation. The children were removed from her care. What an upstanding cocaine dealer. Drug dealers helped me look for my dog when he got lost. They asked me what he looked like and called their buddies on other street corners to ask if they'd seen him. Edit. Yes. Found my dog. He lived 9 more years and died age 16. Reading this thread is making me like dealers WTF. Edit. I get it, people. Not all dealers are bad. That's why I made the comment in the first place. My dealer in high school would get people, usually gullible freshmen, to give him their $80 120 graphing calculator in exchange for $10.20 worth of weed. This man made a serious profit off those things. Fucking TI-84s. So expensive, and then after the semester I never used that fucker again. TI-84s now? Damn, when I was in school we used TI-83s. TI-84s are actually the older model now. LOL. My dealer took magic cards back in 94 and 95. Could you imagine getting a Black Lotus for a dime? OMG. Shit, in 94/95 the big pull would have been Shivan Dragons, of course. Those are super valuable again now, but the Moxes and Lotuses wouldn't have returned anything in trade until a few years later when everyone realized how broken they were. Clarification: Shivan Dragons from Alpha, Beta, and Unlimited are worth something. $1,950, $1,400, and $130 respectively. Shivan dragons from Revised are only about $10, and anything after that is a few cents. Shivan Dragon is not a valuable card or even a good card. Shivan Dragon from the earliest sets are just incredibly rare and collectible cards because it's one of the most iconic creatures in MTG history. I used to pay with loose change when I was a poor kid. Weed dealer loved it. His job had vending machines, and I supported his snack habit. Where in the world did you get that much change? Pizza delivery and waiter in the 90s. Tons of change piled up over a week, and we could stretch nickel and dime bags. The ashtrays in other people's cars. In my younger days before being a parent, I sold weed and ended up fronting a lot out, and then when the people couldn't pay me they would give me iPods, bongs, knives, and one time almost a gun. But I didn't know if it was stolen, so I declined. I accepted almost anything that I thought was useful or cool. The strangest thing I got was a $1 t-shirt. It was just $1, but it was folded into a tiny shirt and I thought it was cute, so the kid basically got a gram for $1. I still have it too. Life pro tip: learn origami to impress your drug dealer so they'll give you a good deal. This was in the 90s. A school near me was going through some major renovations. They were practically going to be built again from the ground up. Anyways, a district administrator tried to trade one of those big outdoor school signs for some cocaine. Hey, I don't know the values involved, but it'd be pretty cool to have one of those giant signs. I figured the sign was worth more than the cocaine in monetary value, but I didn't take it in the end. I couldn't figure out what the hell I would do with a school sign. Tell kids to stay in drugs, eat their school, and don't do veggies? Know a dude who traded his trumpet for some blow. That is so incredibly sad. A trumpet won't get you very much blow. Yeah, if you want blow, you sell a woodwind. Brass instruments are sold for alcohol so you can get a nice buzz. If you just want a couple hits, sell your drums. I had a friend begging me to bring something over to him. When I asked about payment, he said he had something better than money, and that I'd be pleased with it. He wouldn't say what it was, but made it sound like it wasn't safe to mention over the phone. From the way he was talking, it seriously sounded like extremely hush hush. I was intrigued. It ended up being like a total of $9 across 3 gift cards, a 2MP digital camera, and an old phone that was missing the battery. He said the digital camera could be sold at a pawn shop. The phone could be used to hide drugs until I got a battery for it, and the gift cards were just something extra he felt like throwing in to sweeten the deal. I also had an incident where a friend of mine needed to buy and I decided to hit up my Connect to pick up on their behalf. The friend picks me up, drives me to the dealer's house, and I ask them for the money before I head inside. They reached behind the seat and pulled out a Ziploc bag full of pennies and was like, "Trust me, it's all there." For clarification, the drug was just weed, but it was before California allowed recreational shops, so only a handful of people had access to it in my area, and I didn't take the pennies to the dealer. I had enough to front my friend, so I paid for it and kept the bag. The amount of coins did end up being the exact amount needed. Trust me, it's all there. Oh my god, that gave me a good chuckle. I've been that desperate, but even then I go to Coinsta or something first. The first time I bought weed, it was a $20 sack. I handed a dude $20 in 1s and 5s and he said, "This better rocking be $20, and drove off. It was a literal bag of grass. He obviously went down the road and pulled up some grass and sold it to me. He's in prison now though. Good pennies. Row. I traded a PB&J for pot once. My dealer was hungry and I had a packed lunch. The best deal in here. I make a mean PBJ. I used to hang with an older lady. She was a crackhead. I once saw her dealer offer her a 50 slab for some macaroni jewelry her daughter mad for her. She didn't do it. Good for her. She's not a true crackhead then, just a nice lady who does some crack. A respectable and upstanding member of society. Except on Friday night, and Saturday morning, and Saturday night, and sometimes even Sunday, God bless her soul. Not a drug dealer, but my drug dealing friend once came into the kitchen of the restaurant while I'm chopping celery or something, and he's dragging a big huge black garbage bag behind him. He'd already been to prison once and just got back out apparently. I said, "George, is that a F King body?" He goes, "FCK, yeah it is." I gripped the knife a little tighter at that point and looked for the exit. He pulled the garbage bag back and he had 3 huge Alaskan salmon in there. Some guy didn't have enough cash so he paid him in salmon. LOL. I gutted them, cleaned them, and then George paid me in salmon. It was good salmon. Man, salmon would be a good hucking deal. That shit is good. Reminds me of when I offered to pick up my college friend from the airport before school started. She lived in AK and paid her way to and from school in CO by cooking on fishing boats. She said she'd bring me some fish for my trouble. She had to pick up the salmon at the oversized luggage rack with the skis and golf clubs. It was an entire huge salmon, yanked out of the water, frozen on the ship, and wrapped in about 20 layers of trash bags. It was enormous. I kept that thing in my chest freezer, occasionally sawing off pieces with a hacksaw. Best salmon ever. Friend of mine used to sling various drugs while he was in college. Mostly weed and psychedelics, but he dabbled in selling the harder shit here and there. He said some dude offered to live with him as a personal cockasucker for a week in exchange for some exorbitant amount of cocaine. Something like 2 ounces for being an on-tap machine for a week. My friend didn't even have that much coke at one time. The most he ever had at a single time was like 20 grams, and he only sold it when he came across it for a stupid cheap price and during spring break when all the hardcore college partiers were going on spring or summer break. He turned down the offer. Edit. Changed exuberant to exorbitant thanks to you/try using science and hers apparently superior grammar knowledge. If he would have accepted the offer and then turned the guy out on Craigslist for $20, he'd have made a mint. Edit. Holy shit. Nobody else immediately thought of that day. I am a terrible person. Damn, I love the entrepreneurial spirit. This is the American dream right here. Crackheads be like, yeah, I got a washing machine. Door. Edit. It's a Rich Voss joke from White Boys in the Hood. My location won't let me link the video. Sucks to suck, I guess. Land of the free if you got a credit card. Buddy of mine dealt meth. He had like an extra 4 oven doors. He could build a sedan. Just get the meth heads to keep bringing random car/kitchen parts and boom. New car. Hey man, looks like you don't have a trunk for your junkmobile sedan, but I got this beach in deep freezer you could use. When I was in middle school, someone stole their grandpa's World War II souvenirs to trade for pot. Friend of mine traded him $30 worth of weed for a 1941 Hitler Youth dagger recovered from one of his grandpa's kills. Absolutely gutted. Kids can be so ignorant. Imagine what those souvenirs might have meant to his grandfather. Honestly, I try not to think about it. It's really sad. Strangest? I've been offered S by both sexes. Every gift card you can imagine. An iguana, pizza, Jimmy John's, $100 bar tab, computers, and iPads. I guess it's not that strange, but I feel like I should say I never accepted any sexual favors or iguanas. Edit. I spelled accepted wrong. Sorry. How much for the bag? I'd say it's about 1 iguana. A marijuana, if you will. I will. Thanks. Back in the 90s when I was selling a lot of meth and ecstasy at raves, I had one dude offer me a gold wedding band for a baggie. I took it and noticed it had some Cyrillic writing on the inside. I took it to a pawn shop I knew that had a Russian owner, and he told me it was from a family in Russia that was very connected to the royal family that was murdered during the revolution. I knew the kid and his parents, and I knew he had stolen it from his mother, who was a child of refugees from the revolution. So I just stuck it in an envelope and mailed it back to them. That was a nice move, sending it back. In college I had a buddy whose house we would always hang out at. He sold all sorts of stuff. The best offer he ever got was from this 50-year-old lifelong junkie woman. She was a landscaper in her better days, and once she ran out of money she started offering my friend plants. He rolled with it, and a few months later he had a beautiful garden in his backyard. She even dug a pond and made a koi pond. Pretty good deal for both parties involved, and a win for us friends too because we got to chill and smoke and an awesome backyard. Not a drug dealer or user anymore, but once someone offered to trade a box of used children's clothes, a laptop charger, and a single Nike shoe. So whatever was sitting in the car they just broke into? A hot deal is a hot deal. Hey, a single Nike shoe can give that one child who grew up in poverty a chance to look in the mirror while standing side on and pretend he's Michael Jordan. Not me, but a guy I got sober with. Traded a woman a whole bunch of pills for her kids' social security numbers and info. Claimed them as dependents on his taxes. Bro, that's worth like thousands of dollars. WTF though, lol. Now that guy is going to sell their identities for way more. Edit. Grammar. A punch card to a local sandwich shop that had 9 punches and just needed one more for a free sub. So, almost a free sub. Sounds like a great deal to me. In a darker period in my life, someone once offered to sign digital of their car over to me for a week. I had people wanting to give me gift cards for half of its value. People offering to buy me things from Amazon for half. Coin collections. Jewelry that a magnet wouldn't stick to. Used tires and rims. Lottery tickets. Their girlfriends for one night. But my favorite was a promissory note. Screw all of that. I'm so happy I'm clean now. I don't have to live like that anymore. Coin collections. Man, this is such a sore spot for me. Druggy relatives have stolen almost all of my collectible currency and coins over the years. Like I want to ask them, hey OS, how many drugs did the 1926 Mercury dime my grandpa gave me buy? Glad you're clean. Thank you. It's stories like this that help me stay on target. I took a kid to the one night who got caught stealing his brother's coins. His brother clamped his wrist in a vice and cut 3 of his fingers off with a disc grinder. He got 36 months, came out and beat his brother unconscious. Trial pending. Not a drug dealer, but I once found a bag of weed in the high school parking lot and some kid I was with said, "I'll give you my Xbox 360 with the games for that." Oh yeah dude, sure, I was going to throw it away anyways. And that's how I got my first gaming console. My parents asked where I got it and I told them the truth and they were like, huh, I mean, sure, edit 1. So if I remember correctly, I got home at like 11 PM and I walked into my house with it and my dad was awake, so he asked where I got it and I told him that I found a bag of weed at the basketball game and that this kid said he'd give me his Xbox and games for it. My dad said something like, "So you traded free weed for a Xbox?" Yeah, he had his Xbox because in his trunk because he is going to his dad's this week. Hug. Next morning my mom, "So I heard you had a trade with last night." Me, "Yeah, can you buy me a live membership?" Mom, "Well, what do parents think of this?" Me, "His new stepdad buys him one every month." Mom, "Really?" Me, "Yep, also the bag was about 2 grams. I dealt small amounts of various drugs in addition to tending bar while in college. One of the Mexican kitchen guys wanted a bunch of ecstasy, $350 US, and I obtained it for him. When it came time to pay up, he said he only had $100 but he'd get the rest to me in a week or so. I was having a Super Bowl party that I had invited everyone to, and a few days later he asks if he could work off the balance by catering the event. I agreed and assumed he would flake. But homeboy showed up 30 minutes early with some of the most fire Tex-Mex food imaginable. Trays upon trays of anything you could think of. It was unreal, and probably cost him more than he owed me. It was a big reason we served Tex-Mex at my wedding, because I knew a guy who could throw down. His catering company did a great job that day, but he did an even better job as one of my groomsmen. Honestly, Mexicans don't like to bail. If he just walked away with drugs, there's shitty people everywhere. But once he made a commitment to work in order to get it right, you better believe shit was set in stone. And Tex-Mex food at a wedding sounds amazing. A girl once offered to show me her OS for $5 off of her weed. I was 16. I said yes. Worth it. It's usually $5 per jit. You've scored a deal. At 16, hell yeah I would have. Edit. Now at 26 I still probably would. I traded a textbook from a class I took to my dealer for weed when I was in college. He was going to be taking the class the next semester, so it was a win-win for both of us. The price of one college textbook should have gotten you a brick of weed. If you sold it back to the school you would have gotten ripped off. So it's a solid trade. Obligatory. I'm not a dealer, but I once traded a shit ton of Adderall for a GTX 1070 graphics card. I feel like you got the better end of that deal, lol. informer, bags of cans, sex, stolen RX, electronics, bikes, car parts, trendy toys, etc. Weirdest thing I ever actually took in trade? Oh, movies. Drugs are barred. Sounds like you traded drugs for a pawn shop starter kit. Yes, hi, I'd like to buy one used sex please. That'll be $35. No refunds. I had someone else's food stamp card for about a year and a half. I got $120 each month, which I would usually spend on steak and seafood. He got a quarter ounce of weed. I was happy with the arrangement. $120 for a quarter? You definitely got the better end of that deal. Usually food benefits are traded for drugs at 0.50 on the dollar. 0.75 if your dealer likes you. Best case I've ever heard for legalization of all drugs. My friend in high school got expelled but kept coming back to deliver weed. He was never stopped because teachers were his clients. He ended banging one of the student teachers for a bag. Only reason I know about it is that she came over while we were playing Tony Hawk, and not so sneakily did their thing while I waited in the kitchen. High school was weird, man. WTF. In the 90s it wasn't so controversial for a 17-year-old to bang 21 years old. I don't know if it is now, but whatever. A lot of shit went down in that school that staff turned a blind eye to because the system worked. Following Columbine, we joked that no one would shoot up our school because they know they'd get shot back at. Hell, not even just from the gangs. There was a redneck dude that had a gun rack in his F-150. Most kids in my high school had guns in Idaho. One of the times somebody actually shot was to break in the door because it was locked after school hours, so a kid shot it with a 12 gauge so he could turn in his senior project late. Edit. To add to this, the only time we thought we were in actual danger was when someone was spotted walking onto campus rifle in hand. Turns out it was actually a tripod. Code red for nothing, lol. I had a neighbor who dealt weed and probably other harder things, but IDK. He was a weird guy. Not a bad person, but definitely not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He accumulated a lot of random stuff because people were always offering him it in trade. The big ones were mostly electronics like a nice TV and consoles, but random things too like paintings and tools and furniture. His house looked a little like a really nice resale shop before his GF put her foot down. Last I heard he got arrested for felony possession while out drinking. When I was in university, I was always surprised at the number of girls who would give head or otherwise put out for a dub sack. It is incredibly common. Women know men want sex. Not really strange at this point in society, lol. Ducking like and subscribe.